Here we go and start. I really need to learn a new song or something. Okay, I think we got everything set up. Hello, everyone. Welcome to OreAni.
Woo!
Yeah, this is the 2026 winter lineup. Oh man, we've been doing this forever. Um, Actually, let me see here. If I go to the last page here on my YouTube thingy, let me see. When was our first year that we started doing this? Looks like it was 2013.
That must have been when Google Plus initially came online.
Oh wait, no, 2012. We got videos going back as 2012. Wow, May. So, ah, we've been doing this forever. We used to just go by a simple name called Anime Talk, but now we're OreAni, and we've got these cool models, and we get to sit here under the kotatsu, as you can see. But we have a special guest with us. We have Nick joining us after a long hiatus.
It wasn't that long. I think the previous break was much longer.
All right. Well, I'm happy to see you here, Nick. You're always welcome. I'd like to say thank Dragon for joining us.
Woo!
And then I see Albert just popped in, so thank you, Albert, for joining us. I know everything's been pretty hectic with the weather and everything around it, but
My area is completely warm and ridiculous. It feels like spring. I don't live on the
ah,
East Coast, so
no fair. Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
I don't know if you know, but like I had a 70-degree Christmas.
what?
Oh,
Yeah, it snowed last weekend, and we still have the remnants of all the ice still on the road here. It hasn't melted at all because it hasn't gotten warm. So it's been pretty crazy. But I think there were some movies that came out. I don't know if you guys want to talk about them at the end. I think that during the I can't remember, but there are a few movies coming out in this season, so we'll probably mention those at the end as well. But let's go ahead and start. As always, we're going to be going off the list in alphabetical order with Japanese names, but I'll say the names in English. It makes finding the titles easier in my thing. But first title here is the An Adventure's Daily Grind at Age 29. Um, yeah, it looks like Albert and myself are the only people who have watched it. I guess I'll start here though. It's a pretty much a fantasy show out in the Hicks, out in the boonies, I believe, where Hajime was a is an adventurer at the age of 29, as the title says, um, living his life, and it shows the struggles that he went through as a young child to get to this point. And in this village where he's gotten very familiar with everyone around, he happens to run into a girl called uh, Ryu, Ryuri, something like that. And I just call her Ruri. It's easier. But it seems that she's going through struggles in her life as well as she tries to become an adventurer. He finds her headfirst into a slime, basically about to expire. But he saves her and tells her the harsh truth. This adventure in life is not for you. But she's stubborn and headstrong and wants to live this adventure life. So here starts the partnership of Hajime and Ruri, and it's just their daily life as we find more about Ruri and about adventuring in this town. We also get to meet a bunch of other people who come to visit the dungeon in this area and other adventures. But so far, it's been pretty decent. It's not like the best show to watch, I would say. I mean, there's nothing to write home about this show, but it is pretty interesting to watch it at a laid back time and just have some fun with it. Do you have anything to add, Albert? Or...
Yeah, so a lot of people just dropped this at the end of the first episode because something happens. And it looks like it's going down the true Usagi drop route, which I will tell you it does not. So I've been reading the manga, which is I believe, the original source. There's 20 volumes. It still hasn't gone that way. So quit panicking. Give it the good old 3 episode, at least a 2 episode try, and I think you might actually like it because it's a little bit of adventure, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of yeah, slow life in a backwater village with a dungeon, all that kind of stuff. So it does lean into certain tropes, but I find it to be pretty good, and the animation has been pretty good for the last 3 episodes. No complaints here.
All right, thank you. Next up is the Champion Witch. Now, I've only seen 2 episodes, I believe. I don't think I've gotten to the third yet, but it is a really nice show. Did you want to start us off on this one, Albert? Have you watched all of it? Is that why it's dark, or?
No, so I dropped it after the first, but there's a reason for that. So this takes place in a little fantasy world. The main character is a witch, and and apparently there are white witches and black witches. So she happens to be a black witch. She lives by herself and a couple of familiars. She goes into town to sell potions and herbs, but wherever she walks, a mushroom grows up, and it seems to be the poisonous type. So everyone thinks she's causing all this, but later in the episode, it's revealed it's because her ability allows the mushrooms to take in all the bad things, bad feelings, bad mana, bad uh, miasma, and the mushrooms absorb it. Uh, she's actually doing a cleansing, but no one knows that except the one person who buys potion. Oh, no, at the bookstore, I believe. So everyone thinks she's poisonous, but she's actually, doing them a favor, but is not appreciated for that. So the animation's solid, the color palette's nice. I noticed that similar to the manga that's based on, she goes through several, even in the first episode, I think like 3 or 4 outfit changes, which is nice. It's not the old Peter Parker always wears the same yellow polo shirt, you know? So, and then there is also a narrator who narrates a lot of the stories. So it gives it this old school storybook vibe, like the old, uh, some of the older anime from, like the 70s, where there was a narrator explaining things and then they'd go into the animation, things like Heidi of the Alps and Dog of Flanders that I used to watch as a kid. So it has that old school feel. It is there is a longer story that's going to happen. Um, I've been a fan. I started reading the manga and I'm continuing to read it. I've read the first 2 volumes now. So things will happen, but I think if you're not interested in reading the manga, if it's not available, this anime is pretty good. What do you think?
It is a wonderful show, but I do believe she is poisoned because she mentions to others not to touch her because they'll be hurt. So I don't know if I'm just remembering wrong, or but I thought she was
No,
poisoned.
you're correct.
So
Yeah, her touch is poisonous, but it's because of this other. It's a side
yeah,
effect of what she's actually doing. So yeah, she can't really touch other people.
and the other thing which I thought was interesting about it was how they explained the witches, which was I think it was white witches are run by basically the government, while the black witches or dark witches are their own people. Right? They're like their own. They don't follow under anyone. So that's why they're kind of seen as bad because they have no rules or they're not governed by anyone. Or at least that's the feel I got from it. But
Yeah, later on there'll be some more gathering of black witches, so you'll get more better idea of what's going on.
but one of the fun things about this show, which has been enjoyable, is seeing all the different things that can happen. We don't know the extent of her abilities or the extent of just witches' abilities in general. They've been able to do some crazy things with her hat becoming huge enough to cover her, the animal changing from these like little chibi characters into full-grown animals and such. So it's been very fun to check out, and I think I'll keep on watching. Though I will admit, because of it seems to be a very slow-paced show that I don't think it'll be on a lot of people's top shows to watch with everything else that's been going on this season. But let's see here. Next up, did you want to talk about Darwin Jihen or
You haven't watched it, right?
no?
Yeah. So briefly, I believe it's based on a manga. Uh, it starts off with a militant animal rights group breaking into a facility and releasing like the animals, which is dumb. Don't do that. Um, but they find a chimpanzee that is bleeding. They haven't actually shot her or anything, but she's having a miscarriage. So they're like, "Oh, we gotta take care of her. We're gonna, take her and drop her off at a uh, uh, veterinary hospital," which they do. And it turns out the child of the chimpanzee is actually a human chimpanzee hybrid, a human Z. That's in the first 5 minutes. I'm not spoiling anything. Time passes, and the human Z is now ready to go to high school. Apparently, he has not been, the human Z's name is Charlie. Charlie has not gone to other schools before this. I'm not exactly sure, but he just shows up in a school, and everyone knows about him because he's world famous as the first hybrid. Um, but in the background of all this, it's the usual high school bully, and this is set in America, and I think it's set somewhere in the South. Um, so it becomes quickly stereotypic bullying guy shows up, the guy that's afraid of him, the girls that want to have like a selfie with him so they can get famous on Instagram equivalent. And then there's the quiet loner, super smart girl who becomes interested more in him as a person, right? And there's a lot of philosophical questions that get asked, like if you have always been a certain thing, then how do you know what the other, so for in his case, she asked, well, what's it like to be a human Z? And because I've always been human. And Charlie's like, well, I've always wondered the same thing. What's it like to be a human? Because he's not really of any world. So there are interesting philosophical questions being asked, but the whole animal rights, every animal rights person is a vegan, militant, crazy person. So I'm like, there's an overlap in the Venn diagram, but they are not one and the same. They're not going around gun-toting, killing people, bombing, diners that serve meat products, and making equivalent assumptions that, oh, the rats in the walls were just as valuable as the kid that we blew up. Like, so yeah, I could not take it, so I dropped it. But it may be your thing. It looks pretty good. I'm not 100% sure about the mangaka, the author's intentions, or how much he actually knows of why he or she said it in America. And some of the American high school tropes were kind of laughable. And I'm not exactly sure what year it's supposed to be, but it's clearly like modern era, right? And then you go to high school, and I notice things like, hey, the lockers don't have locks on them. It's just the door. What kind of high school is that? So some things just really yanked me out of the setting and the whole militant animal rights veganism. Was such a turn off. I couldn't take it. But that's that.
What
Back
episode
to
would
you.
you what episode would you say shows the best depiction of the high school setting? Because I kind of want to see what they think we have our high schools look like.
I don't know. Like I said, I only watched one episode. So
Oh, okay. I'll have to check it
yeah,
out just so I can see how they think high school for Americans are. That'd be interesting.
yeah. Check it out.
Next up is what is this? Fire Force season 3, part 2. Uh, looks like Nick is the
Who's
only
No, I
person
watching
who's
it?
still
seen this. Are you there, Nick?
really much
Your mic
like
is showing
House.
muted.
Let me check Discord and see if there's something going on.
You might be having
Yeah.
connection issues.
Oh,
No,
it's
it
there. It
went
goes.
now.
Okay, we got you
Maybe
now.
it is connection issues. I don't know. So yeah, I did check out season one as a big fan. Um, I was kind of lost with season two. It was enjoyable, but not. I remember it not being like what. Okay, there it is. I lost connection to my other computer, which is fine. But season three went in an interesting direction, or at least the picking up of the next core of what I presume to be the final content, because I can't really see where it goes beyond here. And if you're willing to like go into spoiler territory, because that's about the only thing left that I can say about the series, is it kind of started doing something interesting because the concept within Fire Force is you had this thing called like the Great Cataclysm, and like you had this Adola world, like parallel world kind of deal, and this like these doppelgangers and stuff going on, and it started kind of exposing what the series was trying to do with all of that. And it was a very fast big reveal in the pickup of this season, but it's kind of revealed that the parallel world is kind of like the collective opinions of things, like a person, or like a just a concept, like like if like how people typically depict stars as the five pointed object, as opposed to like just giant gaseous balls of just roundness. And as the parallel world was being brought closer to the main one, certain things started being replaced by the collective unconscious opinion of it. So like stars in the sky became the one thing, and sometimes a person's doppelganger would escape this world and come into the actual world. Normally when that was happening before, it was like your doppelganger found like the location of your physical self, and like when they found, like that's what was causing the spontaneous human combustion stuff. But sometimes the doppelganger would just straight over come, like if the entity was gone, if the person was gone yet the doppelganger still existed, it could just come over. And um and it would just be kind of like the person, but kind of different, because it was like everybody's collective opinion of what like the lore of the person was. And that was a really interesting thing, because they kind of talked about how the cataclysm has happened once before, so you kind of had this initial merging of this world, and now it's kind of happening again. And I'm really interested to seeing in like how they kind of play that off, because I just kind of have this, like one of those opinions where I've seen anime do this before, where they have to like appeal to a population really fast about what to think about something to kind of shape the oncoming future. But it's just kind of interesting to see how it's going to try to dabble with some of those concepts of stuff being replaced by mass opinion.
All right. It seems like it's almost been a year since the part one came out, right?
I don't remember exactly, but yeah, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Like in this one, I can't imagine there's going to be like a whole nother season after this. It seems kind of final, but I could be wrong.
All right. I do have to admit, I saw the first episode of this new season without having watched anything from second season or anything before. So I was so lost on everything that was going on. But,
Yeah.
so definitely, you have to be caught up on the story of everything that's going before you get started into this next score, because you'll be confused. I was like, doppelgangers, what the, what's this thing? So, yeah. All right. Let's see. Next up is this title, uh, "The Holy Grail of Eris," and let me see here. I think it's just Albert and I again, right? Um, yeah, this show has been pretty interesting. I've been having fun with it. What was the thing on it? I think it was the family of consonants has this thing of, what was it again? They have a strict value to be sincere or something. I think it was. I'm having a hard time remember now. But because of this, she's very upright and follows the rules. While of course, nobility all around her is kind of in a darker shade of where things are. I mean, it starts with the video with a girl called Scarlet being executed for wrongdoings, which she says she has no involvement in. So we already have bad things that are going on right there. So, but Constance is somehow is, I think, able to see the spirit of Scarlet in this series, and has Scarlet has convinced Constance to join her in her quest for finding out the truth and possibly revenge. So, in a nutshell, I guess that's how you could say the show is. I do like the scenes where Scarlet takes over Constance and everyone starts to be confused and also sees the light of like she is so much like Scarlet. And those scenes make me have so much fun just watching those. But there's a lot more going into this show, so I would say check out the first two episodes to see if you would like this, because there's so much more within this show that I don't really want to explain or spoil, that I think some people would enjoy with this title. It is a fantasy, not a, or I'm actually surprised with how many fantasies that aren't isekais we've gone through so far, and this is another one that isn't an isekai, but it's put into a fantasy setting though. You have anything to add?
I mean, it's not isekai, but it essentially is a twist on the Otome game villainous trope, right? Because she's about to be accused of all kinds of things, and then Scarlet takes over and turns the tables on the people uh, who would have persecuted Constance. So it's still kind of that, it's just a more interesting trope, and it's kind of bloody. I mean, for a show, it starts off with the execution, and later, as punishment, someone is being, forced to dance till their feet are bleeding. So it's interesting in the first episode, but it wasn't for me.
Hmm.
Back to you.
All right, but yeah, let's go to the next title. Oh, Fate Strange Fake. Who's been waiting forever for this show?
I mean, I watched the first episode when it came out, whenever it did.
I see.
I also only watched the first episode, and I only knew about it because I was at the uh Hiroyuki Sawano concert, and they put a little advertisement that he was producing the music for it.
Well, no, I've seen the additional episodes, but I've been arguably waiting since the first one came out. I forget how
Mm.
long ago.
Yeah. So I wish Vinny was here because Vinny I think is our Fate guy. He's the one that's constantly talking about Fate Go and such, and I feel he knows so much
Yeah,
more about the whole Fate universe than we are.
Mm.
and that was the funny thing because I've only seen the animated stuff, and I'm like wondering what I'm missing, not knowing the Go lore.
But I don't know if Go has any effect on this title. I do think that one show called Lord El Milio Second Case Files has something to do with it because you do see that character in it. Then of course you got Zero, and I don't know if what other titles tie into this, but supposedly this is supposed.
Oh no,
Do we lose Frank?
it seems so.
Oh
I
no.
think I know where he was going with it though. I think what he was saying is because the character Waver is in it, it would benefit you
Yeah.
to know what happened in Fate Zero, and then the El Malloy case files, which that character is the same Waver from who survived the war, and it kind of establishes some lines that are said in this new content, but
Yeah.
like um I would almost argue as well the last Fate thing that came out. I forget if it was the Jean d'Arc thing, but like a few characters, namely one, was introduced in that one as far as the animation is concerned, and that's like a little bit of exposure that I have to that character now watching this one. But like that wouldn't be as big of an investment as just checking out Fade Zero and the El Malloy case files if you wanted to know everything. But the weird thing is, as someone who's seen all the animation available, is it really doesn't get you that far because it exposes you to like five characters in Fate Strange Fate, and there's plenty more characters who just have this absolute like that they're new, or again they might be famous heroes that the game explored, but it's like having watched what I've watched, it's helping me pretty minimal with this one, and I don't mind it. I was evaluating it from like just I was actually quite impressed with Fate Strange Fake. I'm borderline kind of almost saying it's my favorite title so far of the season, because I just remembered when I checked out episode 2, it seemed like a pure comedy, and I was like, wow, like there's humor at play here, and funny is good. And I wondered if that would take hold for the whole entire series, and it was just going to be like a satirical comedy. And then I watch episode 3, and it's like, okay, no, it's doing action, and like like there was action in episode 2, but the comedy was definitely on the back burner in that one. And I was like, okay, so episode 2 was just like a pleasant surprise, and but just like watching how it like handles its moments and the character dialogue, it's just something that is so intriguing that I would recommend somebody just jump into this thing just not knowing anything Fate, because it is like that much fun from my perspective.
What about you, Dragon?
Uh, I'm trying to remember like what I can from the first episode, but from my
It was a while ago.
experience of like Fate, um, because I'm like slowly getting into it just because some of my other friends are trying to force me into it. So I did get to watch Zero. I watched Unlimited Blade Works and the Heaven's Feel movies, and then I forget which other one that is related to FGO that I did watch. But it kind
Babylonia?
of like ish. Which one?
Babylonia?
I
With
think so.
Ishtar
Is
and
that the one with
Gilgamesh?
Ishtar? Yes, yes, I did get to
Yeah.
see that. And then I don't remember if I finished Apocrypha, but I did also watch Apocrypha. And
Wow. All right.
uh, but
That's
seeing
like
Fate
kind
Strange
of
Fate,
arguably the majority of the animation. There are
yeah.
only a few things.
uh, seeing Fate Strange Fake, I was kind of like trying to figure out like how like where it kind of falls along, I guess within like which I guess Fate universe? Like, is it related to like this, or is it a continuation, like sometime in the future of like, with like Zero and like Unlimited Blade Works and whatnot? And I was just trying to figure it out, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't stress my brain out with trying to figure out a actual timeline for it and just enjoy it for what it is.
Uh, you made me want to elaborate because I actually forgot to include this in my initial like analysis of the series. But why it's kind of called Strange Fake is because there's this, Grail wars typically happen along where parts of the world where the ley line is strong, and like it's almost always. I don't want to say it's always happened in Japan because I don't have that lore. I don't know much about Fate, but
Yeah.
most of what we've seen in the anime, it's all happened like in Japan, like the
Yeah.
initial war, the war again, and then some of the other stuff. But someone was actually trying to pick a particularly point where the war could not happen and try to force it to happen. So Fate Strange Fake is actually set in America of all places.
Mm.
And like it's kind of known that the war shouldn't be happening here. Someone's trying to that they are manipulating things to kind of cause this to happen. And it one of the like another point of intrigue, and I know you haven't started the episode yet,
Mhm.
but they kind of went into this thing where it was almost like Apocrypha, where only 6 heroes were summoned because like that was like a catalyst to start a proper war. So you have
Mhm.
this like initial round of 6 heroes, but then like another 7 were supposed to be summoned on top of that for a more proper Holy Grail war. And it's like so you have like this like weird, not quite red versus like blue team as Apocrypha did, but
Right.
something similar to that.
All right.
Interesting. Okay.
So I realize.
Yeah.
Can you guys
There,
hear me?
oh, you're back.
Yeah.
Yep, you're back.
Yes.
Yeah, my hand accidentally hit the mute button on my microphones. That's what happened.
Oh.
I was talking so adamantly, but I just wanted to add that I think, like you guys said, watching it without knowing anything, I think you could still somewhat enjoy the show. But if you have watched any of the Fate, I would say Fate slash Stay or Apocrypha, or that other title I mentioned, you'll have a better time understanding the dynamics between some of the characters and what they can do and their powers and abilities. And as well as, I think Skihime is another title that would help you understand some other things because of what happens in the future. Um, or at least to explain what some of these characters are, why they exist in this world, the Fate universe, or the type moon, I think they call it, right? Universe.
Mm.
So there's a lot of other things that you can get some information that would help out to help you understand. Because as you're watching this, some characters that you've seen, since Zero will appear, and some others that relationships to other characters, like the Eisenfield family, kind of appear. So by knowing some of those other shows, you might get a better understanding of like how these families move. And I think they also mentioned that it is usually strictly Japan because the people who created it were Japanese. And they're the ones who created the Holy Grail War.
Well, the only thing that I wasn't sure on is like when you go into like the Babylonia stuff and whatnot. Was that like Babylonia, Japan, or even with Apocrypha? It's like, was that in Japan? I don't know.
No, Babylonia was part of FGO, so that's a complete
Hmm.
different story. So if you're gonna watch this, I just recommend you go to YouTube and type in everything you need to know about before watching Fate Strange Fake, and there'll be plenty of material there, 10, 15, 20-minute videos that will get you right in. I don't think you need to go watch, 26 episodes of a different Fate series to get it. It's will be more enriching if you did, but you don't need it. You just need a 10-minute primer. Start watching cool stuff happen.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. You guys ready for the next title?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and move over to. I'm going to skip the next one, which is something about assassins and training or something. I can't remember. It was really stupid. And go to another really stupid show. I think it's called Hell Mode.
Are you still watching it?
I actually am, yes. uh, it, I don't know how to
Thanks.
explain it. It's one of those, it's bad, but it's somewhat enjoyable. I mean, it's not great, but I've been having a little bit of fun watching it.
Okay, what's it about?
So, Hell Mode is our first isekai we're going to be talking about, I guess. That is kind of on a very dumb premise with this guy who just can't find enjoyment in games. He thinks they're too easy, there's just no fun, and he gets a message saying, "Would you really like to play a hard game?" And of course, he decides, "Hell yeah, I do." And by going through the settings, he realizes there's uh, more settings that he can make to make it difficult and to, get his enjoyment even higher. So he decides to put all those settings, and he's now in this new world, which he's surprised with because he didn't think this was, he thought he was going to play a game on the computer. So now he's living his second life in this new world as a serf uh, family, and having to survive with nothing. No, his family isn't well off. He's not well off. I mean, they're just basically in rags, and he took the ability to summon creatures. So it's pretty much him trying to be OP as hell with his weakest character, which because he's a master gamer, he's also able to utilize a lot of his knowledge to grind, you know, to get stronger. So we'll see how strong he really gets, how his summons really get as we go through. But it's not pretty. It's not fun. I mean, it is a little fun to me, but it's I think others would find it pretty stupid as well. So, any other comments from anyone else? It does seem to be a slow grinding show because it's not moving all that fast. So they are taking their time with his development. Is that it? Should we go to the next title?
Yeah, let's move on.
Uh, Dragon, you want talked about the He-Man? It's time
I can talk a little
to
bit.
torture.
Um,
It's time for your
yeah,
tortured
tis
princess, right?
time, princess. It's a continuing anime. It's the second season, so we're just going into more silly, goofy shenanigans with the princess and her torturers at the Hell Kingdom with the demons. But we are getting introduced with new characters as well. So there was a character that I don't know if we actually saw maybe like a brief moment of that character in the first season, but they play a bigger role now in this season because they're being introduced. But we get to just see a bunch more funny shenanigans with the princess and the torturers. So I say it's definitely like a nice breather anime for whichever like more like dark or like heavy anime that you've seen. This is a good chaser for it.
So I do have a one question because I was curious because I didn't watch a lot of this from the last season. I probably only watched half, but it
Hmm.
always seemed to be more showcasing the demon realm people rather than any other heroes or her kingdom. It's always just her
Yeah.
and introducing a new thing. Is that how it's still going? Or are we introduced to like another hero or anything like that?
Um, we we haven't seen a new hero. We've seen someone related to the princess's history, but she's not a hero per se.
Okay. So if you love the, if you enjoyed the first season, I guess it's obvious that you'll probably be picking up the second season, right?
Right.
Okay. Thank you. And for those who don't know anything about it, it's about this princess that got captured and is tortured, typically with food, but not always, right?
Um, Not always food. Food is definitely one of the bigger weaknesses, but it's more so being tortured with like anything that can provide like a good time, whether it be like, you know, um, petting animals or playing games or like even doing like a spa treatment. It's literally like she's being tortured with anything that can provide a good and relaxing time.
Yeah. And basically, they show off the relaxing time in front of her, right? And then she's like, "Oh, I want to join so bad."
Exactly.
All right. Let's go to the next title then. The next title is the, how do you say this? Ikoku Nikki, or the is it the journal with witch, right?
Yeah, Journal with Witch.
I've only seen the first episode, so I don't have really, I don't know how much
I've
I could
barely
say.
seen the first episode, so I have less to say than you do.
Um, what about you, Albert?
Wait, I'm haven't been watching it.
Oh, you're not. Let me
It's supposed
see.
to be one of the really good ones this season, so I
Oh,
do know, about it. People have been talking that it's a really good drama
oh, my
and
bad.
it is set in modern day Japan, but um, I yeah, I haven't have too many other things to watch, so
Okay, I thought I read
if it's really good
the
at the end of the
spreadsheet wrong.
season, I'll go it.
I read the
Oh,
spreadsheet wrong. So, it's a very interesting title. It looks very clean for the source that it's going with, but the the thing with it for me is that it seems like a show that I would rather binge watch. So it's probably going to be something I watch after 6 episodes, and then at the end of the season to enjoy this um, show. Not that you can't enjoy it week by week, but just for myself right now, that's how I'm planning on watching this. But the general gist of this is that I think it's Mako is her name, or what was her name? Asa. There it is. Okay, I had to look it up real quick. Asa, her family has perished, and now she's lived with her aunt Makio, and she is told to, just to keep a journal, to write her feelings, to write what's going on, and to kind of go through this venting process. So I believe this is going to be a story of definitely about loss and how to, or how this girl kind of goes through it, and as well as how the relationship between Asa and Mako build up because Makio is a very. She says flat out to her that she hated uh, the, her mother, that they weren't on good terms. So do not expect her to love her back and that she'll take care of her and raise her, but she'll have to learn to survive on her own, basically with her. So we'll see how things go. But it looks beautiful and it seems to be a very very heavy drama show. So I believe it is one of the very few shows out there that's marked Josei. We don't get too many Josei titles in my watch list, at least. So I'm kind of excited to check this out and watch it. Should we go to the next title then?
Yes.
Did you want to talk about the Hell Paradise?
I mean, there's not really much to say for Hell's Paradise. It's another continuing anime. It's season 2, so it's one of those, like, if you enjoyed season 1 and you wanted to continue it after the first season, then you're most likely gonna just, excuse me, sorry, you're most likely just gonna continue Hell's Paradise season 2, and to just continue seeing how everyone that has lasted since season 1, what will become of them, what will they encounter, and whatnot. So I don't really have much else to say until, other than if you've enjoyed season 1, you're most likely going to be watching this.
Okay. Next up, I guess, is... Wait, did I skip a title? Jujutsu Kaisen? Is that it? Did you guys want to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen? Like, what is this, the fourth season, or?
It is the 3rd season.
Yeah. I was about to say, I thought it was 3.
And there's been movies too, right?
There's been a prequel movie.
Okay.
There is a prequel movie, and there's been 2 other movies, but they're essentially just anime episodes condensed into a movie.
Yeah, just like a compilation film. I usually collectively call most of those.
So, like, I know there was one that was talking for season 2 that was regarding, like, when Geto and Gojo were, like, still students, and that arc from season 2 was made into a movie. And then they also had the Cooling Games made into a movie, which was, like, the last battle of the Shibuya arc with the first episode of the Cooling Games, which is this season.
All right. So should we just go to the next title then, or?
Yeah.
I did skip by mistake one title here, which is a Masterthrope Teachers, a class for demi-humans, which isn't all that interesting. It's about a guy who hates humans, and now he's teaching at a school for demi-humans, who all want to be human, so he's got to teach him to be human. So there's that. We'll probably also kind of skip this title, which is Noble Reincarnation, Born Blessed, so obtain ultimate power. It's your typical isekai OP kid. I mean, he's like 5 years old, and he's stronger than all the adults, and is just smarter than everyone, and just OP everything, right? We'll go to the next title after that, which is a title that I have been reading the manga, and I really enjoyed the manga, so that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm watching the anime. And that's Kuon the Sorcerer Can See. Oh, I'm reading that wrong. I was looking for the title
Under K.
Yeah.
When it's
it starts with M, yeah. So, yeah, there's this title, which is another fantasy type that isn't isekai. So, yay! We're starting to get a lot of these nowadays. Who was it that watched it? Almost everyone, right? Except for Dragon. Hey Nick, do you want to start us off, or?
I haven't seen like the extra content, so as someone who's only seen the anime, I can say that I checked it out because in this fantasy world, people who are born disabled, like missing a limb, are deaf, are blind, are considered to have a hero scar about them, like a previous hero who I believe he was also disabled or something. I forget, but like he was great and I don't know, saved the world or something. He was a Yusha, right? And then like a lot of people who are born this way are kind of perceived as someone who had inherited that disability. And I don't know if that goes well for most people, but for Kuon, he was down because he was born blind, and he couldn't really see, like, not being able to perceive the world. He was always led around as you would expect from most blind people, but he also was a mage in this like fantasy world. People are kind of born with that innate like a mark of some sort which may enable them to use magic, but he apparently was able to use water magic. So they get him this like water teacher who kind of tries to get him to start using magic, and while using magic he realized that he can perceive the world through magic. Like as he's manipulating like water, for example, he was able to start being able to perceive colors and shapes and many other things. And it dawned on him that if he masters magic enough, he might be able to make an eyeball for himself to not be disabled anymore. But it's a fun, lighthearted show, which kind of shows like when that character bloomed from that point. Like it changed his world perspective, and a lot of people were able to see that in him. And I've always liked to see like shows kind of go positive like that. And this one takes it like a little step further, where he had a mentor who like was supposed to teach him mannerisms, and he had this maid who said, why not like we try to make him like a sarcastic gentleman. And so they kind of trained him to be that way, and he kind of acts that way with most people, and you get to kind of see how he influences their lives with like this new personality that he has kind of gained. That's like I would say the most important part of the show. I do know a lot of people are not necessarily happy with the animation department, and I've noticed some sloppy art myself, but like it's still hooking, where I just want to kind of watch to see the things that are going to happen, the influence that this kid is going to have, and just the whole storyboard of like the scenario that unfolds in front of them is just kind of right up my alley anyway. So that's just why I'm along for the ride.
This show is very fun, and I think you mentioned it, but it's not. I don't think it's limited to physical traits or anything like that they could be missing. And supposedly it's because of the hero beforehand had lost an arm and a limb. So the hero scar was kind of related to why they call it the hero scar, is to honor the king. But I think there's other things that they could be missing as well. I think it even mentioned like you could be missing taste or something. So it's very it could vary, and not the other thing which I thought was really fun about this show and that I really enjoy is that so far we've only seen magic from his perspective, so the water magic. We haven't seen magic from many others. And as we go through the show, I'm kind of excited to see what kind of magic others will be showing him and he'll be able to experience, and how his inquisitive mind will then grow from there. So, but his attitude brought on by his maid is hilarious, and his maid and him has this really great relationship that's just hilarious. So it's a show I'm definitely going to keep on watching. It's not like the best show to visually, but it does enough that you're able to enjoy the show casually. Anyone else want to add anything? Or let's see here. I think we'll skip the Demon King's daughter is too kind because it doesn't look like anyone's sticking with that. Okay, I will talk about this show because this show surprised the hell out of me. Um, this was not a show I was going to watch at all, but it got voted during our anime night on a show that we would have to watch together, which is called Mayonaka Heart Tune, or the Tune in the Midnight Heart, or Tune In to the Midnight Heart. This is, I would say, on par to those rom-coms like Quintuplets or Nisekoi, or maybe not Nisekoi, but it has its absurdness and everything in it that just is outrageous with this outrageous male lead. And I did not expect anything from the show. I didn't even know what it was until we started watching it. But it seems to be that our protagonist, Yamabuki, who is the most perfect person, he even announces in his introduction into school, but he is only 99.9% complete. In order to get that 100%, he needs every girl to whisper "I love you" to him. And you realize that the reason he's doing this is because of a podcast he used to listen when he was younger, and had this female talker that he would listen to and just fell in love and just was constantly listening to every single day, falling asleep, and even joining in conversations with this person. And they would always end their stream with the "I love you." So he figures that if all these girls would say "I love you," he could find that person. And so he's very tempted to have all these people say this so he could find him. But at the same time, he hears an announcement at the broadcast system, which is totally terrible, that he runs to that room to confront them, and realizes, because she also mentioned that she wanted to do something with voice work, so maybe she would be there. And lo and behold, there's 4 girls in the broadcasting club, and they all have traits that are similar to the voice that he heard. Now, because of it was digital and over the the podcast, he doesn't know how the voice would actually really sound live, so he's having a hard time trying to differentiate which one of these girls could be it. But he's convinced that one of them is it. So it's this cat and mouse game where he decides he's going to help them, build them, and help them become a professional in their field, because one wants to be a newscaster, one wants to be actor, voice actor, a VTuber, and such. So he's going to help them all through their own projects while he tries to figure out which girl is the one that he's looking for. And when you find out the true reason why he's doing all this, it's just totally absurd. But he's very straight shooter. He's, all these lucky skibbe moments happen, but he's totally straight faced through all of them and everything, and just brushes it off because it's not his end goal. These moments that he runs into, or these situations he gets himself into, his goal is to be perfect and to get to the bottom of this mystery of who this voice belongs to. So, as I said, it was surprisingly pretty good for what it was, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So, the next title here, A Gentle Noble's Vacation recommendation. Did you drop this one too, Albert? Or
Yeah, I have been reading the manga. It's ostensibly an isekai, but isekai in the sense that the main character comes from a different fantasy world into the current fantasy world that takes place. So for unknown reasons, he just finds himself there, and since he can't really do anything about it, he decides to consider a vacation until he can find a way back, or the people that he works for in the other world finds a way to pull him back. So in the meantime, he's just going to consider a vacation. There is magic in the world. He doesn't know much about it. It's just close enough, but not exactly the same. So he hires a uh, pretty good adventurer, a B ranked adventurer who's actually more powerful than B, but he hires an adventurer to look after him and kind of show him the ropes around town. It's a little bit BL adjacent. It doesn't actually go full BL, but all the characters, the main characters, are male. They all, have this extremely close friendship slash interaction slash uh, whatever. So it's not a bad show, but not a whole lot really happens. There are events that happen. There are, other people that show up, and the main character is always taken for a noble, although he doesn't have any titles here. It's just the way he dresses and the way he behaves and the way he speaks. Everyone just assumes he's a noble, so hence the title. In reality, in the other world, he works for the king, I believe. He's like a assistant to the king. So, um, but yeah, it's not a bad title, but it's nothing impressive. So that's why I will read the manga, but I dropped the anime.
All right. I've been
Have you?
watching the anime, and it's not bad. I mean, um, like you said, it does have quite a few of those BL moments. Kind of like, I would say almost like Soundophonium, where you feel like it has some of those Yuri elements, right? But nothing ever really comes to it. It's just them getting close to each other, or their interactions being kind of misleading. But other than that, it hasn't been that bad of a show. Um, just seeing how they live their lives and how he is going to live his life as the adventurer has been pretty entertaining. But other than that, I don't know where the show is really going to go. Is there? I haven't seen any indication of an overarching villain or anything like that. So it's just probably just going to be a plain slice of life in another world kind of thing.
Pretty much.
So, yeah. Next up is another one that I've been kind of anticipating a bit. I've read the manga, I enjoyed the manga, but it is another one of your uh what do you call it? Isekai tropes type shows. Give me a second, I'm trying to find the title. There it is. Okay. Easygoing territory defense by an optimistic lord. Where this boy, he's reborn. He's isekai. He has the memories from his past life. So as he tries to live here in this world, he tries to understand it as a young child. But because of his memories coming to him, like around 3 years old or something, as he's growing up, everyone sees him as a genius, and his attitude and everything is just also very sought after. Everyone loves him, and his how he treats everyone equally, how he's just the way he conducts himself around everyone is just very loved. Um, but I think it's around his 5-year-old or 8-year-old. I can't remember the age. I think it's 8 when they do like this assessment of him to see what kind of magic he has in this world, because there's magic. Instead of getting one of the 4 main elements for attack or anything like that, he gets the production magic, which is sought as the worst and most trash magic ever. So he's actually almost killed but his brother convinces the father to send him off to the border in this village that's just depleted to build it up. And as he goes there, he realizes his production ability with his mana being insane. He's able to accomplish so much. So now he's going to live his life up there. The most accomplished butler has retired and is going with him. The knights are all going with him because everyone just loves him and sees him, the potential in him. So they're following him to this new land, and now they're going to um, survive in this new land. So pretty cookie cutter title thing. But I'm going to keep on watching it because I enjoy these type of shows. So the other title next up is what? Roll Over and Die. I believe you dropped this, right? Because I think you mentioned it in the post you made, right?
Yeah, I dropped it after the first episode. I have been reading the manga. I like the artwork in the manga. The animation did not look that great. I think there's a lot of production issues. It just looked very mid. So the story is that Plum Apricot, the MC girl, is supposed to be part of the hero's party because she has a special ability, but all her stats are essentially zero. They're in the garbage. Her special ability reverse. No one can tell how to use it, and she has no idea how to use it. So she's essentially completely useless, except as, emotional support for some of the people there. But she is betrayed by the sage of the party and sold into slavery. Yes, slavery. So, and this is done, by him telling her, "Oh, no one wants you," and everyone agreed, and we're selling you into slavery, although no one agreed to that.
I
Um,
think
so he is a complete dick. So she's been sold into slavery, and then is, she was bought by a slave owner, expecting that she would have some sort of special ability, but she doesn't. So, along with several other slaves that he considers garbage, is dumped into a dungeon with ghouls who start killing the useless slaves. And then the slave owner's like, ha ha ha, entertainment. Well, this is not, it's, I'll give you a chance. Here's a weapon, a magic weapon. And the guy, one of the slave guys, is like, yes, I'll fight for the weapon. And it melts him, completely melts him. And so he's like, the slave owner's like, ha 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 ha, I tricked you again because it's actually cursed. And so Flum, decides she'd rather die by being melted than being eaten. And but the ghouls get to her. She touches the sword, and she's like, "Oh, finally, uh, I can die." And she realizes all her wounds are healed, and her stats are boosted, and she's wielding the weapon just fine. And she kills the ghouls. She kills the slave owner, and rescues the one surviving slave, Milk It, who has horrible scars from it's actually poison, which you find out much later. So yes, it's kind of this gritty, betrayed by the hero's party thing, and yet she has a special ability that's super overpowered, and there's a conspiracy going on, and so the title, which actually translates, you know, they pick something short because that would be much better. But in the Japanese title, it says like, "Oh, I want to lead a slow life in the capital," but there's nothing that's a lie because she becomes involved with all kinds of things going on in the background. And meanwhile, the hero's party is falling apart. So yeah, it's a lot of the typical stuff. There's a little bit of the Yuri bait between Flum and Milkit, the other slave girl. Um, but overall, the anime is pretty mid.
Yeah, I've just heard you mention the title, and wow, the difference. Roll over or die, or Omae gotoki ga Mao ni kateru to omona Toyusha party wo saiho sareta no de oto de kimama ni kurashitai. Yeah, that's a.
Yeah,
They got all that down
it's a
to that.
mouthful. Yeah,
But
except like I said, the title was a lie.
yeah, so um, I, the reason I'm watching this is I kind of really do enjoy tragic stories and such. So this show has that tragedy that I do enjoy. So I'm probably going to keep on watching it for that. Like you said, mentioned the animation and everything in it. It's not really all that good to write home about. I mean, it's not super bad, but uh, it's not so bad that it's distracting. So I'm able to keep on watching it. But other than that, I believe you. There was one other girl in the party that was also sword user that was in on it with the selling of the hero or getting rid of her at least, because I know they had showed
Uh,
scenes
so,
like that.
so that'll come in. They'll explain that later, right? So the sage convinces the hero girl, who is the childhood friend of Flum, that we can't keep carrying her. She's gonna end up dead. You just have to let her go. So that's why the hero girl, agreed to have her removed from the party, but she never agreed to sell her into slavery.
Yeah,
She was
that's
doing it to save Flum from certain death at the rate that they were going.
yeah, but
But that's not explained in the first episode.
as you get through, there's a lot of other interesting things that have been showing up, popping up that have changed the narrative of everything that's going on, which I would say you have to watch, check out, see what's really going on in this world. But other than that, um, I guess it's another fantasy without isekai. But it does have a really awkward opening. It's like hard rock, like whoa, almost kind of like made me think of Overlord in their openings. How that's pretty hard. But
I
then it
think
has
you mean metal.
metal, yeah, whatever, metal. But then they have a really soft song at the end. Uh, oh, here we have this other title here. Another rom com that's over the top that I've been really enjoying. I've been in a rom com mood, I guess, because it's what we've been watching. But it's you can't be in a rom com with your childhood friends, and the premise is as stupid as you would think. It's a guy who loves his childhood friend, but feels that she's too innocent and everything she does kind of leads him to thinking that she only sees him as a childhood friend and doesn't see him as in the opposite sex. When in reality, she sees him totally in the opposite sex and is trying to do everything she can to have him look her way, but because he has the misleadings, he wants to do the man thing and be like, I don't see you in the opposite sex because I want to, honor our childhood friendship. So now we have this conflicting where they're trying to. He doesn't know, are they really in love with me or are they just doing this because we're really just friends and such. But of course, there's not just one girl, there's two girls that are in this conflict. So they're always doing everything they can to mess with him and to get him on their side, but he always uh, interprets it as if it's just them being innocent. So, but it's anything but innocent that they're doing. So, yeah, it's hilarious. It's stupid, but I love these kind of rom-coms as well. Oshinoko, season 3. It looks like Nick's the only one who's watched it.
Why?
I haven't. I have a small
What's wrong with
excuse.
you? Yeah, small one.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear it before I get going.
I didn't finish season 2.
What? How could you? Okay, anyway. I would like to inquire onto that, but that's not the point of this. So, I was actually quite nervous to start Oshinoko season 3 because I'm sure, like, maybe everyone who's seen the series might have a similar saying, but, the first episode of the first season was really good, and then the rest of the second season was kind of. It was what it was. It was the exposition. It, set things up. But I was really impressed with season 2. It was one of my favorite things of the season it came out with for because it just felt like a nuanced experience because the gist of that one, not that I need to dive into it a whole lot, was that they were doing a 2.5 dimensional play. There was plenty of special effects. It looked great. And it was a really cool animated experience where it kind of brought you along for the ride of seeing a little behind the scenes of production, but also like being able to perceive the play as a member of the audience, and a lot of the character dialogue and insights were really working well in season 2. So much so that I kind of wondered where season 3 was going to go, right? Like, will my highlight be season 2 and season 3 will be a disappoint? Well, I can't answer that right now because I'm not exactly sure where it's going to end. I can say that I probably won't enjoy season 3 as much as 2 because that was such a, like I said, a special nuanced experience for me. I really liked it. But a lot of the depth of the characters are still here in season 3, and a lot of that, wittier dialogue is still happening. It's just not like as impressive as the play, but there are deep things happening, and I am at least enjoy. Like I haven't said, oh, season 3 sucks. So there's that.
So my question would be, because it seemed like in first season and then the first half of season 2 was mainly focused on Aqua, and it seemed like at the end it changed its focus to crap. What's her name? The sister?
Ruby. Yeah,
Ruby. So is the second season kind of continuing off where it's focused on her, or is it going back to Aqua?
I think you mean season 3. Season
Yes.
3 does kind of balance the characters a lot more. It is a little more centric on Ruby because she did kind of have that shift. Because near the end of season 2, the characters kind of had the unique eye art going on, and hers changes, and it is a lot more about how more advanced she has gotten to be where she's at. Because like now she has fundamentally changed at the moment, and she is doing things differently and more complexly. And that is a little bit of what season 3 is definitely focusing on at this time. Will it be all of season 3? I'm not sure. But Ruby does definitely, like, a lot of the characters involving Ruby and around Ruby are definitely more of the focus of the initial part of season 3. Aqua's still here. He's a character that we get to see from sometimes, and he's fully involved in the story. But it's more about how Ruby is advancing the story at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I quit 2 episodes from the end of season 2, so that's all I have to say.
And maybe no one enjoys it the way I do, but I just like I said, I always like to evaluate a series based on how much I want to go out and own it. And season 1, yeah, it was cool. I wasn't too concerned with buying it. I don't think I own it at this time, but I do know that when season 2 hit, that was a must buy. Like I was overwhelmed by a lot of what happened in season 2. Like not literally overwhelmed, but like I said, maybe some other anime has done it. Maybe Oshinoko season 2 did it better, but I just really like how they presented that arc of the story. Like the arc itself was special, and just the way that it delivered was pretty good too.
Yeah, season 2 was really good. So I am planning on watching season 3. I just have some other catch-up things to do, and it did make me want to go watch a stage play in Japan.
A 2.5D
Uh,
one.
yeah, one of those. But anyway, I gotta get going, so I will talk to you guys later.
All right, thank you for joining us.
That's
Have a good
good.
one.
Thanks for joining us,
Bye.
Albert.
Bye.
All right, the next title is, oh my God, this title. This title is a mind game kind of show. Give me a second. I went to the wrong folder here.
Cool.
2026. She. It's
Shibo.
called Shibo. There it is. Boom. Uh, Shibo Yugi playing death games to put food on the table. I will say the close-ups in this show are beautiful. These characters have amazing eyes. Their lashes long. Everything about them is just stunning. But when you zoom out and view them from afar, there is no detail at all. You don't see any facial features. You don't see anything really much except for just simple shapes of their body and their clothing as they move around and do particular things. So that's the kind of animation this show's gone with, where as we're up close, we'll have more detail, but as we go further away, they kind of scale back. But it is, as you can tell from the title, uh, uh, a series of games that these girls are put into where their survival is unknown. They could, but of course, everyone is there for a reason and wants to survive to get to the end. And as we go through, we do learn there are different reasons for being in these games, but there's a lot of stuff in here that's just totally blowing my mind. I think the first episode was an hour long, and that was just one game in its entirety. Then we have the next few episodes that have been released targeting the second game, and with a whole new set of crew, except for the main girl, which her name is Yuki, and she seems to be the protagonist of our story. But um, their games are very, very versatile and very, very brutal in some scenes. But they do have this weird mechanic in this world, in this game, which I do not understand, which is brings the mystery up even higher, where that it seems that their bodies aren't really their bodies in this game, or they're changed somehow, because as they're being killed, it's like they're dolls, where there's fluff inside their bodies. Like a girl rips her hand off, and then you'll just see fluff coming out from the thing. Even losing limbs doesn't kill them, because as long as they're, I guess their main core is intact, that they can kind of still move and survive in a sense. It's just really weird how the mechanics of this are going. And then at the end, they're all put back together and they're just normal, as if none of what happened in this game happened at all. But it seems that they are humans outside of this world, I would think. But we'll see how they show us, because we haven't seen too much of the outside world yet to understand what's really going on. It's always been in the games. But it is. I would recommend someone watching at least the first episode, since it's a 2-episode part, to get a feel for the show and just see how crazy it is. And there's a lot of, like I said, mysteries going on. Even with they have these numbers that flash on the screen all the time. I thought it was a hour count, but then the next episode has a whole totally different numbers going on. So I don't know. Everything is just so weird in this thing. But I would recommend, Nick, you should check this out. Dragon, check this out. It's crazy.
I mean, I watched the first episode with you, and it was freaking insane.
So let's go to the next title. And it has a so awkward for opening. I know. I think Nick, you're still into the openings and endings, right?
I actually didn't comment on Oshinoko's season 3. It's not catchy, but it is so visually stunning, like what they're doing in the opening.
Yeah. So
uh,
this
Sorry.
show may be the opposite because it just shows like the camera from an overpass panning down, and you just see cars
Hmm.
driving back and forth in the middle of the night. Shows nothing of what the show is about.
Kind of like that one time I was misled by the opening or closing or whatever.
You get misled by a
But I
lot of
get you.
those. What was it? That
Yeah.
dog, that show with the dog and scissors that you thought was the Mecha show?
Yeah. No, I didn't think it was the mecha show.
Or
It's just
right,
the
right.
opening was so, or the ending was so different. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, it makes me want that show.
Okay, next up is Free Run, everyone's favorite show, season 2. I don't think there's much to say about this, right? It's just a continuation, right? If you're watching the first
Yeah.
season, you're going to continue watching the second. They've. I don't think we've really gotten any overarching arc, right? Right now, it's just them still traveling up north, right? So it seems very episodic right now. But is there anything you guys want to add to it, or?
Not much.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel with Free Run. It's clearly good, and it's, a well produced show, but like, it's so, I don't want to say like slow, but it goes at its own pace so much to the point where I kind of forget a lot of the beats that happen most of the time, and there are like standout moments about Free Run that are great, but everything else that you witness along the way is just, it's okay. It's not bad, clearly, but
I wonder if they do that on purpose
um,
to show how fleeting, Free Run is, because she's not really a fast kind of paced person, and it's not really about battles for her. It's about her
yeah,
just traveling.
yeah,
So.
like it's clearly, like I said, a slower show that kind of turns the pace down a whole bunch, but it there are things to be gained with that. I've seen other series do that well. But like, kind of like how I was saying that I really looked forward to like a lot of the strange fake stuff every, like, every week, every episode, just because of how well it holds the intrigue and all the crazy zany stuff it's always doing. That's certainly not at play here. But it's a good show. It's free, right?
All right, let's go ahead and go on to our next title, which is another title that surprised me because it wasn't in my radar until I heard Jessica and Dragon talking about it. And I was like, oh, okay, let me see what this is. And then I saw the first episode and I was like, it's awesome. It's another one of those rom coms. And like I said, I've been on a rom com binge, I guess, this season. But Dragon, you want to take us off? This is your show, right?
Um.
It's Talmon's B side.
So yeah, Talon's B-side has a very interesting premise. So our main protagonist is a female. She has an Oshi in a boy band named Tamon, and she's working this like little like housekeeping job to earn money to continue supporting her Oshi. And in one of her jobs, she's trying to cover for one of her coworkers to get sick, and so she goes, knocks on the door, and who does it end up being? it, it's her Oshi, but he is like a complete opposite of his onstage personality, where he's like this super confident and very like flirty and energetic guy, but in reality he's like a super like depressed and self-depreciating like introvert. And so it's kind of this uh whole thing of now it's the whole show is about her trying to like keep a secret about who she's housekeeping for, but then the more that she does things for him, like he realizes like, oh my goodness, like she knows a lot about me and can help me keep up my act and like keep me like striving for my dream of like making everyone happy, because that's his overarching dream, is like providing like making sure that he can provide smiles for everyone. And and yeah, so now we get to see their little crazy eventful interactions with each other.
Yeah. I will have to say this. This animation is very misleading in character ages, because I thought that girl Utage was like at least 21 years old or something, and you find out that she's a 16-year-old high school student.
Yeah.
So it was a little shock there. I was like, wait, what? She's really that young? So it was really misleading in that sense to me visually. But other than that, the line between your devotion and keeping things purely stricken for, you know, my Oshi is for everyone, knowing that there's not just one person they're devoted to, kind of thing. How do you say it? Like, you know what I'm talking about, Dragon? Where I can't be greedy and take him all for myself. He's there for everyone,
Mm.
kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's how her mindset is. So she tries to distance herself a bit with him because she knows that she's in a very advantaged situation, but she feels it would be unfair as a fan to take advantage of
To
her
not be able to
situation.
share. Yeah.
So it's been very fun and crazy how she's fighting that line between should I do this or should I not? I should, like, I can't just shake his hand right now. I have to spend my money, get my tickets, get that special pass so that I could do things proper the fan way and everything, right?
Right.
But other than that, let's. I think maybe we should go to the next title then, right? Because it's just a crazy funny show. There was another show I think about like almost similar to this, where there was an office worker lady who becomes infatuated with a band, and she has her Oshi, but she's like not popular at all, and she's like seen as the least of the crew. So, if you like that show, I can't remember what that show was called, but if you like these kind of idol thing shows, but it hasn't really shown much of the idol side. It's always showing her and him taking care of each other. But yeah. Hilarious. Next show is reincarnated as a dragon hatchling, which is on my block to be chopped because it's not really all that great. What did you think? I think it was. Oh, it was.
It was Albert.
It was Albert. Yeah, we have someone in our chat that's saying there's been so much to watch, and there is. So this might be on my chopping block. It's kind of not really all that great, and it's been moving kind of slow but fast at the same time. So it's kind of weird. The guy gets reincarnated. He wakes up as a dragon egg, and then it's him trying to survive, and the way he survives is just really dumb and just very all over the place in how he's moving around. He still has that very human mentality in his life, so he tries to do everything he can. At first, I thought he was able to speak, Japanese, but then you realize that the Japanese voice we're hearing is hearing as viewers, not we're actually hearing his voice because he sounds like a dragon to everyone else. But he's kind of slowly realizing how he's going to have to live his life in this snow world, and also trying to level up so that he can evolve into a higher species than he is. But other than that, not really all that great. Like I watch it because it was one of the few titles on High Dive, and it's it isn't panning out so far. Sadness. Next up, oh, this show. I'm behind on it.
Are you
I
watching?
I watched the whole first season, but I haven't watched it since the second season started. Which
Well,
is
yeah, it continued right through. So like
yeah.
it just yeah. It,
So
it's in its second core right now. It's the 24 episode block, but I didn't talk about it last
yeah.
time. So
So I think we'll talk about it at the end of the season, though. So since it's a continuation,
all right.
or did you have anything you really wanted to say?
I just didn't know if it ever was introduced anyway. Like, did anyone say anything about it,
Yeah,
OreAni wise yet?
because we were talking about it. Go ahead, say your part. Actually, I'll hear what you have to say about it. You're not here often, so
No, it's just this is one of the things that I picked up from last season, and it shot near to the top of that list I'd be talking about of wanting to buy something right away. I just checked it out, and it initially reminded me of another show called Samurai Flamenco, which had like not a similar premise, but just some similar zany things going on, and it's kind of adjacent to this. But it's just like an over-the-top comedy about this guy who wants to be Kamen Rider, and I am not. Like, I watched, Tokatsu when I was a kid, and then I fell off that horse, and I'm not a Kamen Rider fan at all. But just the scenario that this show set up just, like, pulled me in, and I low-key think that this is one of the greater shows that came out last season, just per my tastes. And the funny thing is, I was able to do a trade with someone with this. He got me to watch the Potions show from last season, and I got him on this. And then we were going about like almost every week about how like crazy good this thing was. So I was actually I was gonna pull it up to say if you wanted to do a trade for me to watch that other show you just recommended to me, but then I find out you're watching it. So
yeah, I will.
no good.
The thing I mentioned last week or last time I would say was that the thing that surprised me is that although it has a lot of yelling, like I dropped Black Clover, I think it was, because that main guy's always yelling, "Ah, ah," and this show has so much yelling in it again with their charging, "Rah, man, rah," it kind of gets really obnoxious, but the show itself kind of wins me over all of that. That is just so out there and crazy and fun. And I will admit, like I mentioned before, that this show kind of went way off where I imagined it was going, because I did not expect it to be as real as it was, in a sense. I thought it was just them living their fantasy in this kind of anime show.
Yeah, no, I really look forward to hear what if you start getting caught up on like the beats of season 2, like tag me like in the group or whatever. Just say like whenever you watch an episode, like what happened in it, how you reacted, and stuff like that. Because it kind of has that shock factor to it where it's like, oh, do you see this concept that they just went for, and that that's crazy cool and stuff like that. But one of the other things that isn't quite so catchy about this one, I know it has like. It's got a stylized opening that's pretty good. It's got the really cool takoyaki like training arc ending video thing. But I always like how it's one of the shows that gives you one of those like stylized illustrations at the very end of the episode, and those have been great as well. Like I just every time I'm hit with one of them, it's like, oh, I almost forget the show does them, and then you just like see this like art piece that somebody made, and it's just so cool to see that in a show that you like.
Are you talking about the end cards?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see here. What else? Yeah, I'll have to talk to you off stream about that show then later on.
Please do.
Next up, we got Undead Unlock, which I think was Albert, so we'll skip that. Next, we got Oh, this show. This show was a shocker as well. I tend to go into all my shows blind, so I have no idea what anything is until we actually watch it. And this title, give me a second. I'm trying to find the title. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. Yusha. Yusha K. There it is. Sentenced to be a hero.
Mm.
And had a 1 hour premiere. So if you have you seen this, or if you haven't watched it, just be aware that the first episode's really long, and it is crazy, and the animation in it is also very, very amazing in it. So it's one of those shows that I would recommend to. I recommended it to everyone at work that I knew watches anime, and the world setting is so mysterious. I want to learn more about it. And we're kind of learning a little more about the goddesses of this world and how everything is going. But basically, in this world, it even starts off with this like text saying that the status of hero isn't, in a sense, something sought after. It's actually a punishment. That if you're a hero, you're expected to fight even after death. There is no rest for you, that death cannot even save you, and that this punishment is only saved for the most vicious of villains ever out there. So, and we kind of follow our main protagonist, what was his name? Xylo, I think it was?
Mm.
Who,
or something like that.
where he so happens to stumble onto a goddess, Tetoritia, something like that. And you learn their history through flashbacks and mentions at the, especially at the end of the first episode, about his relationship with goddesses and everything. But in this world, the demon lords are like these monsters that spread a plague that change everything around them. Animals, anything, basically almost any life form, plants and stuff, into monsters and beasts that then roam around, just causing death and destruction. And this show is so brutal that you'll see intestines flying all over the place in some scenes. But it is very, very, very visual with its violence and its bloodshed. But the fighting and the mechanics throughout this world are something really fun to learn. Because I think we recently learned about the markings on his body besides his neck and such. Mm-hmm. So learning about all this stuff has just been really fun. Y'all have anything else to add? Or
I've been a bit conflicted with this one, in all honesty. I'm not trying to say it's bad. It's just like it confused me, kind of from the get go, because like you are opened into this, like into the combat right away in that hour-long premise of episode 1, where this character's like chucking daggers around and they're just making these explosions of light for some reason, and he's called a hero, and like he's because as Tank said, they were typically criminals who were sentenced to be a hero. So it's not like that this is a role reserved for people who are just simply strong. You also like had to do a great crime. But I still think it's kind of strange that you don't really see a lot of like non-criminal like here, like no one seems to match these guys' ability. Yet like why is it all that the great people end up becoming criminals in this series? And it just kind of like left me scratching my head. And then they do kind of explain bits and pieces later, like you find out why someone was charged as a criminal and the nuances there. And they did this one line drop in the later episodes about, the protagonist of the show just has like a high like magic retention value, because a lot of the fantasy element in this show is more like you scribe these runes onto things, and the runes that you scribe impart the magical abilities, but they're all fundamentally powered by sunlight. Like the luminance of sunlight is the thing that empowers this stuff, and the protagonist of the show just has a real high, like I don't want to say tolerance, but he's like a battery for this stuff, right? Like he has that big mana pool that no other people do, and it's like, okay, that starts to explain a lot of the stuff at play here. But I still don't understand like why we haven't seen like a really strong person who isn't a criminal. like like I just every time it like tries to advance like something, I just kind of question its world building in a way that I don't normally like to. But otherwise, it is still a pretty fun show. I am enjoying it, but like, and I do see like the one of the things that I did notice is like the characters are seldom static. Like even when they're talking, a lot of times they'll hold a pose for a moment, but then they'll quickly like do a move that forces like I don't want to say forces the animators to work, but it does kind of show how much polish that like the show has, even when it's not doing action. Um, I'm along for the ride. I'm probably going to enjoy it all the way through. I just like weird bits of me just like kind of question why people like the show as much as they do, because I don't see as much there, but it's still entertaining.
I can give you one theory for one of your questions, and that would be probably because these guys are always sent to situations where uh, I think they're more or less places that they don't care about. You know what I mean? If they die, if they live, or if these places stand or fall. Uh, in all these situations, like
No.
even in the mines, I think they're sent to these areas where I don't think that they rather keep those heroes that have a chance of
So,
death outside of those areas because these guys
so
are
I can
disposable.
I can expand a little bit of what I mean by that. We find out why the protagonist of the show is branded as a criminal. We found out, like there was potentially like a government cover up thing. Something bad did kind of happen, and he had to do something kind of terrible, but due to the extenuating circumstances, it makes sense, and there was a cover up. But before he was a criminal, he seemingly had that trait about him. Like he still like had the crest on him, where he is this guy who could charge up a dagger and make it into a light bomb and chuck it. Like he was that strong individual before he became the criminal that was a Yusha. And it's like we see these soldiers that he has to meet up with and work with, and they seem like normal people. It's like where were the people like he was not a criminal at one point, yet he was that strong. Like where are those people, and why is it just the criminals that are like the strong ones? Is more my issue with the series.
Well, like I said, I think they're put into situations where they don't care if they are lost. So I think that's why the normal heroes or anyone that we could actually see that would be super strong isn't in those areas. They're probably put to other situations where it's a little safer or they have more thought out plans. Because like he was in that situation, right? You said where he was strong beforehand, so he would probably wasn't put into these like dire situations where they're like, yeah, just go over there and get yourself killed, kind of thing, right? Because why would you put your actual
I
hero
would
in
say
this
he
kind of
was.
thing?
Well, that's because that's also part of the reason why he became a criminal is like he was in one of those intensive combat scenarios. Something was exhausted, and then the issue started from there, and then thus the cover up. But it's like he was, arguably a strong soldier before he was a criminal, and I think his strength carried over and maybe improved some. It's hard to say. We didn't really get to see him pre-criminalization, but I just mean like again, these heroes are doing great things, like, and they are criminals, and they can be revived should something happen to them. They're expendable in that sense, but I just still don't see like that power scaling where like that was my whole point, was he was a strong person all the way through, and he was being used by the army before he was a criminal. We just get to see him afterwards, but it's like where are the great people who were like him, who were able to do these things, who weren't criminals? That's what I wanted to see. It's like if you can be great as a criminal, where are the great non-criminals?
Okay. Do you have anything to add, Dragon, or I don't think Dragon's
Not
watched
really. I only ended up watching the first episode, so I'm kind of behind.
Okay. Let's go to the next title here, which is another Yusha title called There Was a Cute Girl in the Hero's Party, so I tried to confessing to her. This is a rom-com isekai. Yay!
This one is funny. I just wish the animation for this was a bit.
Yeah, so the premise of this story is I've read the manga, I believe, before this, so I kind of knew what was going on at the beginning. But Yoki, which is our main protagonist, is from an isekai character. He's from another world. He gets summoned into this world or reincarnated. I can't remember, tell you the truth. I think it's reincarnated as a demon, but he so happens to be very, very strong. But because of his position, he was always pit as like a mid boss, rather than being the demon lord. And he kind of wanted to just live his life in peace and in luxury and just kind of relax. He didn't really push himself. He would go out there, fight the people who came to challenge, and send them away. I think he was kind of also a little bit adverse to killing, but I don't know if that was just because it was the hero party that he met Cecilia that he fell in love with in the hero party, why he didn't kill this group, but he kind of lets them live so that they can keep on coming back because he wants to see Cecilia again because he's kind of fallen in love with her. And as we go through, he makes a deal to let the hero party go as long as they leave Cecilia back, because he figures that he doesn't really care about the demon lord or demon king. He just wants to confess his feelings to Cecilia, so he makes a deal with them. They end up going, and while he has her alone, he confesses to everything. You know, he was a human, that he's from another world, and that he's madly in love with her and would like to go out with her, and she flat out rejects him. But she also kind of gives him this thing that, why don't you try to live in a normal life outside of here, and then we'll see how things go from there. And so now it's him trying to live a life not as a demon, but as a human, pretending to be human, to also kind of win over Cecilia. And but of course he keeps on running to the hero party members, so he's got to keep everything down low so that he doesn't get his situation revealed to everyone. But it's a pretty fun show, pretty silly, and like Dragon said, it's not like the best kind of show to watch visually, but the story is just kind of really fun to just kind of enjoy casually.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, or?
Not really, no.
Okay, and then the last title for us is another Yusha party title. Oh, we got 3 titles with Yusha in it. Maybe 4. Yeah. The Jack of All Trades, Party of None. But it has Yusha in the Japanese title. So I think it's like I was kicked out of the hero party kind of type of show. We've been seeing a lot of these every year, and this is the first one of this year. Who's seen this? Let me check the list. Oh, myself and Albert. Okay. I have read the manga of this. So if anything, I might drop this because the manga's been pretty fun and very excellent. That's the biggest reason why I've been watching this as an anime, because I do know the source. The show isn't all that bad. I mean, it's not, once again, it's not the greatest looking thing, but it's been pretty consistent in what I've seen so far. But I have been blind to some of these shows because I know what's going on and I just kind of skip past a lot of the bad stuff. But our main character was part of the hero party. He gets kicked out because he's seen as inefficient. He was their support for the party, but after joining in a joint adventure with another party, they realize that the support could be so much stronger, and they decide to kick him out because he's so weak. And the reason why he was not seen as strong as the others is because he was originally a swordsman, and he kind of switched roles. So his skills aren't like seen as really strong for support, but he has some really amazing skills himself. So after being kicked out, he decides to be a swordsman again, but now he has his support skills to also buff him in a sense. And he decides he's going to try to live his life in this new position where he wants to be the jack of all trades, in a sense, where he can do everything needed for the party all in one. But he, eventually runs into like their most rival clan, which I can't remember what the clan was. It was kind of something like with the bunnies or the hares. And after being kicked out of the party, they kind of invite him to join them in a training session for their younger ones. And I think he accepts because he kind of needs the money. But I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember how he gets convinced to do it. But that's the gist of it. I mean, it's not really anything super... Oh, the Silver Rabbits someone mentioned in chat. Thank you, Silver Rabbits. So, yeah, it's been fun for me. I'm really excited to see what happens in the next episode. Oh my god, it's been building up to this moment now. So, hopefully they don't leave us on a cliffhanger after this next one. But we've met quite a few other characters, and I hope to have fun with this show as I continue along. If any of you have anything else to add or want to mention real quick?
You mentioned at the beginning that maybe talk about movies at the end.
Yes, so I think it was, let me look here again. A movie that came out was, let me browse through this list again. All You Need Is Kill. Did anyone watch that in theaters?
No.
Embarrassingly, I haven't been to a theater for like 2 years, so I was able to catch a few things that were in theater recently, but not actual theatrical ones. Like I'm still kind of missing Infinity Castle.
Yeah, we recently actually watched the Dragon Maid movie, so we get you there. We didn't see it in the theaters, but we got to watch that movie recently. But there is a movie coming out next weekend, called Scarlet, which is by Mamoru Hosoda, who did, Summer Wars, The Wolf Ame and Yuki and such. So that movie's coming out. I believe it's going to have an IMAX release first only, and then I think a week after they'll start releasing it in its normal theatrical release.
I altered the list accidentally. One of the kind of hilarious things that I was not anticipating that happened like kind of this season was there was a OVA episode that dropped for quite an old series called Eld Noah Zero. And
really?
like that thing was like circa 2014. And I was like, why has an OVA episode dropped, like 10 years after the thing aired, like going on 12, 13, whatever. And I come to find out that they're actually releasing a compilation film that incorporates the OVA episode like soon. It's like Eld Noah Zero Re Plus or something. And it just seemed like so weird to get new content from this one. And I was more hoping maybe for like a prequel season or a sequel season, and it's just a compilation film that's going to be out at some point. But
I might have to
kind of
check
took
it
me
out.
by surprise.
I didn't watch the second season of Eld Noah Zero, but I did watch the first, and it was really fun. Another movie that's coming out in 2 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, is Dangers in My Heart movie, and that's a compilation series movie that compresses the first 2 seasons down into one. Supposedly there's going to be new content, but if you love Dangers in My Heart, which I love, you might want to try to check it out. But it is only limited to 10 theaters in the U.S.
Yeah, in the whole U.S. Just crazy.
That
So I'm,
reminds me of like when anime films started coming over circa 2012.
so I'm going to be driving 6.5 hours just to go watch that movie.
Like up north again or what?
I'm going south to Alabama
Okay. Gotcha.
or Georgia, I think actually
Huh?
Georgia. Sorry, Georgia.
Georgia. I was
Yeah,
like Alabama.
Georgia. I'm going to Georgia. I forget. I passed through Alabama. Wait, is it Alabama? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. So I'll be taking a long drive there to watch it with a few other friends. I am going to Nashville, which is I have to drive like 4 hours to get to that one to watch Scarlet next weekend. So I got a lot of driving in these next few weeks to watch anime movies. I think the only things that have been nearby have been like the Demon Slayer movies, but other than that, any other movies you guys know
No, I
of?
think like the Reze film came out that was kind of big, the Chainsaw Man.
Oh
Reze
yeah,
art.
yeah, that's right. That was out.
I was about to say that one should have had a pretty wide release. Like I thought most movies were enjoying like wider releases now. Like I remember when you did have a few select theaters when it was first starting, and like any other time, like when I went to go see when I moved from where I was to I went down south. But in the state that I lived in previously, the local theater near me had like all the anime films. I watched like the Demon Slayer, Infinity, or the Train arc. I seen the what's her name? The oh gosh, why can't I not? Scarlet Evergarden film was it like in theaters there? And
Oh, the Violet
it just
Evergarden?
seems like oh Scarlet, Jesus, yeah, Violet. I was trying to remember her name to save my life, but it's like, and I'm kind of got used to that where all the theaters are like having all the films now. So it is kind of strange to hear about one that isn't a wide release.
Well, I think they're being released mostly to like AMC, but Regal theaters are the ones that don't get it, and that's what's mostly down here where I'm at. So I have to drive.
I
I have
don't
to
know.
drive to go
I
to
feel like
AMC.
it's kind of the opposite. Regal usually gets it, and then not AMC.
Well, it's one of those things that's happening because like I'm not getting it down here. Like the last few movies I really wanted to watch weren't around here. I had to drive quite a few hours to get to them. But another title I think that came out was a Zombieland Saga movie that came out last month.
Yeah, but that one was dub only. I didn't want to go watch it because I didn't want the English dub. Like they specifically said English dub with Japanese subs or songs. Specifically, the songs were going to remain Japanese, whereas the English dub voice actors were going to take over from there. And I was like, I don't want to go see that thing that way.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet. Like I did that for Overlord. I saw that movie in English dub because I didn't want to wait the few days to watch it in Japanese. Well, I did watch it in Japanese though. But I watched them both. But I think that's it for today. I think I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Chat, thank you for being here. They say they're pretty much watching everything in Crunchyroll, which is definitely a lot of titles. There's quite a few that aren't in Crunchyroll that you might want to check. I think Netflix had something that people were talking about quite a bit that had a few animes on there, something like with the Prism or something like that you mentioned last time. I can't remember the full thing. High Dive has The Chained Soldier Season 2 going on.
Yep.
And that's the only show I can really think of for High Dive that's really great on there. I think Oshinoko is on Crunchyroll now versus High Dive, right?
Yes, season 3 is on
Or is it
Crunchyroll.
is it on both or is it just only one?
I only remember Neo saying that he saw that was on Crunchyroll.
Let me open it up. Oh, it's on High Dive as well. So Oshinoko is on High Dive Season 3 as well.
Okay.
Oh, that's what it is. Cosmic Princess. That's a new anime I think that came out.
Cosmic Princess Kaguya.
Albert and them were talking about that.
Hmm.
Yeah, but if I'm looking at this, it says episode. Uh, the last 2 episodes, yeah, of Oshinoko I never watched. So, of season 2. I have to go watch that before I can continue season 3. But, what else is there? Not much else to say, right? There is a YouTube series that has a season 2 of that Yuri anime that came out a season ago. So if you like Yuri, you can watch that on YouTube. They stream it there, but you only get a week to watch the episode before they remove it and put the newest episode. So you have that, and I forgot to mention Scum of the Brave. Scum of the Brave was pretty good. I'm enjoying that as well, and not much else to mention.
Hmm.
Oh, Dragon, I don't think we talked about the Invisible Man and his soon-to-be wife. Did you want to say anything about that?
Um, I can say a little bit. It takes place in a world where it's in the modern world. It takes place where like, you get all different kinds of like spirits and like, I guess demi-humans as well, because there are like beast people. There's um, uh, like the main guy character there is an invisible guy, like an invisible person. Um, but it's about the invisible guy who runs like a detective agency, and his like almost like assistant who is blind. And then it's kind of about their their relationship together, and how they like like what their work life is, and how it kind of grows to be a bit more.
It must be interesting because to her, nothing much has changed, right? Even though he's invisible because she's blind.
Exactly. And so like if anything, like he's kind of like always like surprised about it when he's with her, because you know like most of the time, like if he actually goes full on invisible, no one can see him. But because she's already blind, certain other senses are like heightened. So she can always like recognize him by like smell. And so like he'll go invisible and he'll be like walking around and he's like, "Where am I?" And then like she'll point to where he actually is, or like tug on his like shirt, and it'll be like, "Oh, it's because I could figure you out from your smell." And he starts sniffing himself, and he's like, and then she starts being like, "No, no, it's not a bad smell. I didn't mean it as an insult or anything." And then he was just like, "Well, it's just good to know that I actually have my own scent that you can recognize."
So does he turn invisible, or does like his clothing as well, or is it only just specifically him?
So so like him himself is like fully invisible. But a part of his ability is that if he wears clothes, he can make it like all full invisible. Like he can make his own clothes like invisible as well.
I see. Okay.
I did skim the episode a bit. One of the funny nuances that they had involved in it is like he can't hide wounds specifically. So like if he
Yes,
gets a cut,
because the blood he won't be able to control the blood since it's now an outside thing.
but
Interesting.
close. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Well, thank you, and I think that'll be it for tonight. Then, everyone, thank you for joining us, chatting with us, and watching. Um, Let us know in the chat or comments if you're going to be watching any of those movies in theaters that are coming soon. I can't wait. I think Madoka movie came out in Japan, right? So I can't wait to get the release
Did it?
here. Wasn't it? Or is it coming out soon? I think it's coming out soon, right? Sorry.
I think it's supposed to come out this year now because they keep delaying it.
Well, we'll have to see when that movie comes out. But other
Yeah.
than that, I hope to talk to you all later and see you at the end of the season then. Goodbye, everyone.